Hi, welcome to my video. I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but so I've been gone for a while. As you may see, I hadn't made a video since the Cosmic video, I think, the last one I made. So I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 14, and just uh, I moved to another server. I'm on Seraph, and actually met a pretty cool FC and got a house there. I got a house in Final Fantasy 14. Can you imagine? I actually got a house. So yeah, I've been working on that, working on my minor botanist, all my jobs, just pretty much chilling and play a lot of Final Fantasy 14 because I love the game. Um, so and plus I work, so I don't really have all the time to do YouTube. But this video here, I'm gonna talk about some things I changed here. So my desktop computers that I have on my desk, uh, desktop computers. So what I done is that I got so fed up with Linux, and it's nothing really anything particular with Arch Linux, but just Linux in general. Because I like using GNOME, as you can see. Um, and I'm really fed up with the fact that this uh, share input thing, when you do this remote desktop connection update with GNOME and KDE, the portal, where it's called, with NOA. So when you stream your game, it interferes with input devices such as a gamepad, a mouse, a keyboard, anything that's like an input device, like in a gamepad that's connected to Bluetooth or even just wire. Just connecting devices, it would I always would have to close the game, open it up. The controller would not be detected. So what I do now, I just use Windows because Windows, it doesn't have that problem, and games just run better on Windows. And I have nothing against Windows. And just because I use a lot of Linux doesn't mean that I hate other operating systems. I also have a Mac computer which runs Mac OS on it. I'm not an operating system fan, even though I do favor Linux more than anything else. But I still use Linux, and it's because my Dell computer is not supported for Windows 11. Windows 11 will work on my Dell computer, but it's not officially supported, and there is some problems with it, with that as well. So I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna use Debian Stable on it because the second operating system that's supported for this machine is Ubuntu. I downloaded the manual for the Dell computer and just check to see what other operating system, if it actually has support for other operating systems. I mean, fuck it. Sorry about my language. So I mean, any uh, operating system will work, or like any Linux operating system will work fine on the Dell computer, right? But I was just curious to see if it had any other support, and it did say Ubuntu 1604 and later, or 60, yeah, it was 1604. Like, yeah, this computer is not that old, I don't think. But anyways, it does use Core i7 7700, which is not supported for Windows 11. The 7800 is supported, but not the 7700. So it works fine with Windows. It's just that on the boot up, it's just a blank screen, and I don't know. It's just it doesn't seem to be working 100% good. So I'm like, fine. So I put Debian Stable. I'm like, Debian Stable would probably be a good system. I'll upgrade it to SID. But there was a problem. It installed perfectly fine, good, but the Bluetooth USB, which is a Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, wasn't being detected. I did enable Bluetooth with system control for System D, and it still wouldn't work. I started up the process, or what do you want to call it? I started up, it still didn't want to work. So I was like, you know what? I'll upgrade to SID. It might detect like maybe it needs a newer kernel, probably missing drivers for the like that USB device. So let's try that. So because I actually it did work before with Debian testing, but I installed a system with testing. It wasn't the stable ISO, it was a testing ISO. I installed the stable ISO because I wanted to be unstable, but unfortunately, it didn't want to detect my USB, Bluetooth / Wi-Fi. Even when I upgraded to SID, it still didn't want to detect it. So I was like, you know what? What other options do I have? I have Arch Linux, but I don't feel like using Arch Linux. And the reason why I don't want to use Arch Linux, the reason why I went to Debian Stable, is because I don't want to always update my system all the time. I find Arch Linux is a great system, but it updates. I know it's a rolling release. It updates a lot. It's actually toned down a bit, but I I just can't be bothered with it. A system that I really like a lot is called NixOS. I don't use Flakes. I don't use Home Manager. I don't use NixOS like most of these NixOS users how they use it. I use it basically basic. But then again, if I use Gentoo, if I use any other operating system in general, I use the basic. I'm not a programmer. I'm a gamer though, so I do a lot of gaming on my computer. So NixOS, the way I use it, just the way I use it, is good enough for me. And why I choose NixOS? Because it's reliable. The system has a good platform base. It's an immutable system, which something goes wrong, you can roll back. I like that a lot. That's one reason why I use NixOS. For that, one of the main reasons. I know it doesn't have FHS. I did complain about it, and I still kind of think it sucks. But you know what? I can live without it. I don't need it. It's fine the way it is. Do I need a package manager? It does have a package manager, but I basically just used the configuration.nix file. I don't use any flakes. I just use that. I rebuild it, and I switch. NixOS dash rebuild space switch. And I basically just if I need to add a program, I'll just add it to my list of because I have a list of all my programs, and I made my ZHS shell default, and I got it all set up pretty good. And this is basically my fast fetch that I customize for it, and that is my ZFS shell. ZSH. I keep saying ZFS. That's a file system. I meant ZHSH. Sorry, I'm really tired, man. The Z shell, pretty much, and yeah, and I just customized NeoFetch. So that is how my system looks like. I'm using Mona Lisa color scheme for Kitty, and what Kitty is a terminal. It's called Kitty Terminal, and that's what I use. I'm using GNOME. I noticed NixOS with GNOME installation, it's a lot faster compared to KDE, because KDE is quite bloated, but GNOME goes really fast. It's pretty good. I'm on the unstable branch. I was unstable using the latest kernel, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go on the unstable, because I didn't had any problems with it before. So yeah, this was my configuration that I had for Arch Linux. I just changed it for NixOS. So that's basically what I done. So anyways, yeah, it's working really well. And I set up auto update, so like when the channel is updating, it will just basically go to the update. And yeah, it's working really good, and it's very stable. Like, it's way better than Debian, because I can do a lot with it. I like the fact that I can just go on unstable, and then if I want to go back to stable, I can go back to stable, because that's what an immutable system is. You can just do a lot of changes, configure it to your liking for a few months, and then go back and just configure it back to stable, and it'll just act like it never happened ever. You know what I mean? That's what's nice about the rollback feature. Or you can just, you could just reconfigure your configuration file and basically just rebuild it. And I like the flexibility of NixOS. I think it's a really good system. I don't use it like a traditional Nix user. I use it like pretty much like an old school Nix user probably. I'm not trying to be like to learn all the whole language. I don't need to. I like the system. I like that it's very reliable. It's very stable. It works really well. That's why I use NixOS. It's nothing to do with it does have a lot of cool stuff. Like more there's a lot to learn with NixOS, but you don't have to. And I don't like the community. I don't really care because I'm not part of the community. I'm not part of any Linux community. I have my little community, and that's good enough for me. But I do like NixOS. It's a working good system, and I'm not gonna use Arch Linux anymore. Well, I always say that. I'm always using Arch. Yeah, I got a Steam Deck. I'm always using Arch. What do you mean I'm not gonna use Arch Linux? I'm not gonna use Arch Linux the way I used to use it. I'm gonna stick with Windows on my desktop because I think Windows is just overall better than Linux. So yeah. And like for gaming, and I know Linux is great for gaming too. Like, don't get me wrong, I will play games on this computer as well, on Linux, on Nix. But for me, for the most part, I think Windows just overall good for what I need my desktops for, and I think Windows will be great for that. I do like Windows too. I think Windows is a great operating system. I have nothing against Windows, even though I do complain about it a lot. I complain about Linux as well. I complain about BSD as well. I complain about everything. I'm just human. I complain a lot. I distro hop a lot as well because I'm a Linux user and that's what we do. But I've been coming back and forth with NixOS all this. Like, I'm still going back to NixOS. I like NixOS. The reason why I stopped using it is because of all the politics behind it and all this drama crap. But you know what? I'm putting all that on the side because you know what? I don't even give a shit, to be honest. I just want to use a good system. I like NixOS for what it is. Like, I don't care about the politics. I don't care about what is this and what is that. Even Arch Linux has the same sort of politics. All things has politics some way or some form with any operating system. So basically, I don't really give a crap. I was making a little deal about it, but now I'm just like, you know what? I don't give a shit. I like NixOS. I don't use it like all the other Nix users use it, but I don't care. I use it. I use the basic of it, and you know I like the basics of it because I really like to keep it simple. I like the flakes in this program language and this home manager and this Git repository and put your dot files there and this and that. To me, I like to keep things simple. That to me is not keeping things simple. That's just, maybe it might be simple for, like, keep it simple for other people, but for me, I'm old school. I got a configuration file. I'll use that. I'll configure my system with that, and then I'll just configure the system. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to do. Because once I have a desktop, I use the desktop. Okay? The shell, I use the shell for shell stuff if it needs to be used. But for the majority of Linux users, most people don't use a shell. Most people use GUI applications because that's the whole idea of being in a GUI in the first place. But I do like the terminal. I use it when I need to use it, but just like with Windows, I use the terminal when I need to use the terminal, and I do use Linux on my Windows as well. I use WSL2 with Ubuntu. That's another thing I want to talk about. I actually installed Ubuntu on this system, but when I try to upgrade stuff with Ubuntu, guess what it pushes out? It advertises a pro shit. Like it's saying like you'll get these updates if you subscribe to the Pro of Ubuntu. Now, that to me is like this is supposed to be Linux, man. What's up with this Pro stuff? And I know it's a business; they're trying to make some money or whatever. I get it; it's like an enterprise system. I guess they're enterprise now, or they kind of always used to be, but they seem to be more serious about it, even more serious than Fedora, Red Hat. Cause even Red Hat don't promote shit like this, but they do got Red Hat. They do have more than one system, right? So Ubuntu just has one system. I guess that's what they do, right? But anyways, I saw that. I didn't like that. I was like, no, I don't want to use Ubuntu. It's not a bad. The system is nice. It looks good, but NixOS is good for me. It's a community-based system. Works really well. I like the way the system functions. It's not your traditional Linux. It's a good system. It works really well. I like since I ever when I always used NixOS, it always ran good. I never had any problems. You know, it just works. Like seriously, it just works. You run your configuration file, it installs all your applications within that file, and I just drag my dot files because I have it back up, and I just drag it to my home directory and put them there, and voila, my system's right here. Easy peasy, and it's been working really good. Bluetooth works really well. Wi-Fi works good. I use wire anyways, but I'm just saying my USB device works out of the box with NixOS compared to Debian. It didn't want to work, and yeah, it works really great. I'm really impressed with NixOS as always, and I love the operating system a lot, and I'm gonna stick with NixOS. Doesn't mean I hate other systems. I just think Nix is a pretty good system. It works really good for me. It works great on my Dell system. It can't run, well, it can run Windows, but it's not supported. So I'd rather just run a system that is supported. And NixOS runs really great on this box. Like my computer really loves this system. It works really good. I have no complaints. I'm very happy with it, and it's a good distribution. Don't get me wrong, Arch Linux is good. Gentoo is good. I like those systems a lot as well, but I have no use for it. NixOS, I have a lot of use for it because I like the idea of an immutable system. I like it. I really do, and I think XFS works really well with NixOS, and I just think it's a stable system. It works really well. I never had any problems with NixOS. Never had any problems with it. This is one distribution that I use that just works really great out of the box, and it continues to stay working good. I don't have to update anything. It will update itself because I set up a thing in my configuration file. I set up I have auto updates. So like when there's updates in the channel, it'll just reboot my system and it'll update everything. I could be at work, and if it happens to have an update while I'm away from my computer, it will update and reboot the system automatically. And I think that's one cool thing about Nix that the auto distribution doesn't do. But there's a lot of things you can do with NixOS. There's a lot. I'm just scraping the surface here. There's a lot to unbox with NixOS. I might just use it. I'm gonna keep on using it. So I might just pick up other things with NixOS. Maybe I might get into Flakes. I might get into programming the Nix language. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But I really do like the system, and I'm gonna continue using it. Once again, guys, thanks for the watch, and have a good one. Until next time, cheers.